Would you look at that? Hey everybody, welcome back to episode 2, Conspiracies and Mysteries with my boy Troy Whitworth joining me in the studio. How y'all doing out there? How are you doing, Troy?
I'm doing great.
You doing great?
Yeah.
Did you guys hear his enthusiasm over there? I'm going to have to get them all buttered up and everything. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, a recap. Last week was our very first episode, and I got to tell you, if I've talked to you from last Thursday to this Thursday, I love you. What an amazing first episode to be talking about JFK.
Yeah.
Not only did I learn so much on our first episode, but when I was out speaking amongst others, there was some things they shared with me that I had no clue of, and some of the things that we actually mentioned on the podcast, they weren't aware of.
That's great.
Well, here's why it's great. I hope I don't get in trouble when I say, before I say this, hey, I want to tell you guys, what Troy and I speak of doesn't necessarily reflect the views of RiverBender.com, RiverBender Radio, nor its employees. I guess I got that disclaimer there properly. I will say it again. This is an entertainment podcast. We're coming to you because I assure you, whatever curious you're about, we're curious about it. Matter of fact,
yes.
Before I make the comment I was going to make, let's be very inviting, folks. This podcast is for the people. We the people. You don't have to be a decorated official on a Navy boat saying you saw UFOs and you got to attest to it. If you want to speak to someone and you're a nobody just like the two of us, I encourage you to reach out. Matter of fact, Trust on RiverBender at gmail.com. Simply send me an email and tell me your name and what would you like to talk about. I mean, wouldn't you like to hear what people want to talk about?
Yeah, and I'd like to get some guests every once in a while. That would be kind of cool.
And we're only in episode 2, but
yeah.
So, for example, tonight it's going to be secret societies.
Right.
But what I wanted to get back right before we jump into secret societies, what I was about to say, ladies and gentlemen, this podcast and hundreds and thousands of other podcasts exist because I struggle with the frustration is, why as everyday people are we limited to what the government wants to release?
Well, what are you going to do? I mean, they control the narrative. So, I mean, you could go out and, say that you found something or whatever. And you would just like, for example, I know this isn't what we're going to talk about, but, there are giant bones all over the world. Did you know that?
I've actually think I have heard about that.
Yeah, and the Anunnaki bones, whatever you want to call them. The Smithsonian allegedly comes out. You call them, hey, I found these bones, and they come out and collect them, and they just grind them up because they don't want, I guess people to know that these things existed. But if you read your Bible, you know they did.
So again, I want to say exactly what you just shared with us. I'd like to believe, because the government says they don't share things with us because they're trying to protect us. Yeah. So what you're just saying with the Smithsonian, if they're legitimately grinding these things up, are you saying they're doing this so these topics don't become relevant and try to protect us from fear?
Well, fear of what? I mean, I don't understand why they're doing it anyway, because if you understand that things happen like that there were giants, okay, and how are we gonna? I guess the kids are gonna think there's giants out there. I guess maybe that's what they're trying to say, but I think they're just really trying to squash the knowledge.
Okay, when you say squash, I know, folks, we got an episode 2 to get to. I realize that, but that goes back to our first episode. So, hey, it's all Lee Harvey Oswald. Let's squash it. Let's move on.
Right. Nothing to see here.
Right. So, nothing to see here. Mm-hmm. But what I talk about with these conspiracy podcasts and shows that are out there, so President Trump released, hey, you need to release all these files, right? But yet again, regarding, I want to stay current on our original topic, JFK, not everything was still released.
Did you see that interview with Leslie Stahl and that Mossad agent? Did you see that?
No. Elaborate.
That scared me to death. Of course, he couldn't see the guy. He was all covered up. But he was talking about how they can do anything, and they control the stage. They set the stage. They do all these things, and you don't even know it. And when he said that, I thought, if they can do that, because, I mean, they made, I guess pages explode in the pockets of their enemies, that sort of thing. But our politicians, it makes me wonder if they toe the line to that kind of information, that because the Mossad agents are out there saying that. I mean, that you can play, it's on YouTube. That interview is chilling.
Well, ironically, we're going to talk about secret societies, and I believe it's a great time to jump into that based on what you were just sharing, especially when you talked about our politicians towing, so some of the secret societies, and here's what's crazy, folks. You're going to keep hearing me say secret societies, and the key word of this is secret. So for me, this is going to be a very tough topic to cover.
Yes,
because how do we talk about secret societies when
we don't know
it's supposed to be secret, right? But we could talk about the purpose of a, like, for example, let me just pick on you.
Okay.
When I bring up the topic secret service, secret societies, what's the first thing? What's secret societies? The first thing that comes to your mind?
The Masons.
Okay.
Well, and the Masons get picked on a lot. And I know there's probably some people out there saying, I'm going to... They're not Satan.
Well, let's just remember, this is an entertainment podcast based on art. Right, gotcha.
They're not Satan worshipers. Let's get that out. They're not, okay? But that has been the fraternal organization that has endured arguably since biblical times.
Okay.
So that is one.
Because for me, the first one comes to my mind, and I'm not a historian, but I think of Yale and Skull and Bones.
The Bonesmen, sure.
I want to say, is that what, the 1800s to the early 1900s?
That sounds about right. When I was studying this stuff, because it'd been a while since I'd studied, like the Skull and Bones and the Jolly Roger flag and all that, I went to go back to brush up on some of this stuff. And like I told you in the car, it's amazing what Google has done with information.
It's funny you say that. We're going to bring up Google in a little bit later part of the show. But
I mean, they're using this 666 symbology anyway. I don't know if you knew that.
I did not.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and so they are pretty sketchy on, and so you have to go into some deep recesses. I hate to say Reddit, but I mean, it's like 6-7 years ago, I was into this stuff big time.
6-7.
Yeah.
6-7. Okay. Sorry, I had to go there. I don't know if any kids watch the show, but I learned that yesterday. 6-7. Okay, I'm sorry, Troy.
I'm just saying, I would read this stuff until my eyes hurt, and I thought, well, no one cares, no one listens. It doesn't matter, So I just went about my business. So when you approached me on this show,
yes, sir,
I thought, well, I'm going to have to brush up on some of this stuff. And I'm telling you right now, Google does not, what they want to do is they want to lead you into a situation where they say, well, there's this, and then there's that, and then this other thing, and then doctors said 100 years ago. So you're left with thinking, well, I guess it's all just subjective to,
So wait a second. So you're saying the information highway?
I'm telling you,
is now.
It is.
If you want to, so
many detours.
Google, what you're saying is, so we want to talk about secret societies, and if I look that up based on Google, it's going to be kind of narrative driven based on how they want us to read it?
Well, I tell you what, I didn't want to get into this first. I wanted to get into something else, but I want to jump into Aleister Crowley for a minute. Okay. This guy was a Satanist. But when you get on Google, they act like he was this spiritual enlightenment kind of a guy, and he was force for good and all these things. And that does not jive with what I read years ago about this guy.
What did you say his last name was?
Crowley. This guy used to put an ad in the paper, in the London Times, looking for people to have sex with, but they had to be deformed or handicapped. Okay? Now, in his mind, he thought that the more grotesque that they were, the higher the rank he would have with the devil. That's what he thought, okay?
If I pronounce this right, he was an English...
He was a poet, he was a mountaineer. Yes.
Am I pronouncing that right?
Yeah, occultist.
Magician.
Yeah.
A writer for the founding of the religion of Thelema.
Thelema, right.
Okay, so I'm just trying to learn. And really fast for you out there, I did the Google thing because I wanted to see this informational highway. Something about this concept of true will.
Right,
Okay.
right. He took over an order. He was a Mason, by the way, but something about his wherever he got his masonry, whatever, it didn't go with where he was going. In other words, there's some. I don't know, there's a York Rite and so forth, and it didn't gel with what this other one was. So he basically a lot of these secret societies borrow from the Masons, okay? But what this guy did, he was he practiced yoga. It was interesting. I mean, I even heard reports that he was the guy that maybe Ian Fleming based 007 on, okay?
Now, this kind of helps me because I don't know with y'all listening out there, Trust struggles with history. I'm being honest with you. But when you start talking relevancy of like 007, now I want to hear more. So you're telling me this guy as an influence kind of made the character of...
I've read where Ian Fleming was a fan of Crowley. Okay. And Crowley was, man, he was well known in his day. He was a talented guy, but he was just so perverse. The most perverse things I've ever read in my life were things that he had written, prose, poetry, to the devil. I'm telling you, it made me sick. And I almost bought a book I found at a garage sale, Crowley's poetry or whatever about the devil.
Wow.
And I thought I couldn't put myself through it again. I mean, it was just the most disturbing crap I've ever read. So, but anyway, I don't know how we got on Crowley. We're talking about secret societies.
Right. And here, let me just elaborate on that. What I was reading on Skull and Bones, it's just here, like when I hear of Yale, I don't think of conspiracies. I'm thinking, hey, I'm sending my kid to Harvard or Yale, right? So I had no clue that you attend Yale. There's this complete history of, hey, you might get tapped, if that's the word that I was reading, and then join this. But so I understand that this is a very high level school type, that you go there for this education. But folks, conspiracies and mysteries and secret societies, I don't want to say dumb it. Well, I'm going to dumb it down. I'm going to dumb it down for me that I'm clueless on a lot of the. Well, for example, they can't see it, but you can. Was it you or CJ that talked about that? Well,
chair? I think you said CJ said it too, but I mean that's Taco Bell.
Yeah.
And the bell.
There you go, CJ. Go ahead.
The bell could be the bell of Saturn. The Saturn sits up there and hums like a bell.
Right. And folks, what I'm talking about, there's chairs back here, and I've had two different people say, "Hey, doesn't that look like that?" So a lot of times when our mentality sees something. Even one step further, and I guess it's my show. I'm allowed to talk about it, right? Can I bring up Starbucks?
Oh, Starbucks, sure.
Up? Okay, so I don't even know what I can do and don't do on the episode. But back in the day when Troy and I were talking, where he had me mesmerized is that you have your franchise logos. You have, and you guys have probably seen it on YouTube or some different videos. But Troy, you had told me that. Right, you drink coffee at Starbucks? And I'm like, why are you even bringing that up? And you're like, well, if you turn the logo upside down, didn't you say that was
that may be someone else. Okay. If you look at the logo,
heard it from a friend.
It's clearly that she's got her fish legs open, ready to receive.
Oh, okay.
Okay, that's, So there's been connections with another person I wanted to talk about tonight, Semiramis, but, she's kind of a naughty gal. I mean, this mermaid, I guess she is, that siren, or whatever you want to call her, but it's pretty nasty if you think about the opening of the legs like that. Anyway.
So what you're saying is now we're going to start seeing TikToks of people like Brian Trust standing in front of Starbucks trying to analyze these logos. So, hey, listen, before we go to a commercial, because I know we've been all over the place, I want to ask you this before we go to a commercial. Secret societies, again, the topic is secret. But as we were talking about like a Taco Bell look, by the way, these are all unpaid commercials, Taco Bell and Starbucks right there. But in today's society, in today's world, the the Brian Trust, not the historians type people. What I want to talk about when we come back from the podcast, how do we figure out what the secret society is today? In other words, I have a familiarization about power and money and influence, but I'm curious to the listeners out there that may not have the knowledge that you have. Okay, I don't have that, but I'm just kind of curious today. We're going to talk about history, but what is some of the current thoughts of what secret societies might be today, who their presence is, and how are they affecting us? So let me do this first. Let me go to this commercial, ponder on that, and we'll be right back.
At Marquette Catholic High School, tradition is more than a word. It's a way of life. From championship athletics to community service, from lifelong friendships to faith-filled values, Marquette students carry a legacy of excellence. Together, we build a stronger community on the field, in the classroom, and beyond. Marquette Catholic, where tradition meets tomorrow. Visit marquettecatholic.org and see why Marquette is the right choice for your family.
You won't find a better health club than Nautilus Fitness Center. More cardio, more free weights and equipment, more classes, a swimming pool, and more. If you're serious about your health and want to make a change, then stop thinking about it and visit Nautilus Fitness Center on Industrial Drive in Alton. Don't fall for the hype you get from the other health clubs. Nautilus is the Riverbend's premier health club. Has been for years and will be for years to come. Get to Nautilus Fitness Center and get started on a healthier new you.
I guess it would help if I hit play. Still learning, dude. A year later on this stuff, you still think I get it. So, all right, let's get back to this. I apologize there. I just cut off George Strait, didn't I? So we're getting back to secret societies. So here's a little confusion for me, because I don't necessarily can comprehend secret societies. It's like I can't say a name of one because I don't really acknowledge one, other than going back to the conversation we had Yale. So here's, unless you got something to say, I was going to share something with you.
Go ahead.
Okay. So for me to kind of be current, I'm going to ask you, and I'm going to ask you guys, I don't know if it was Netflix or what it was, but has anybody seen or have you heard of the movie Mountainhead?
No.
Okay, so just a brief of this movie on Mountainhead. I remember there was 4 characters, and Mountainhead, because I guess they met on a mansion, on a mountain. But when I think of secret societies, this is kind of what I would think would be a modern secret society, because the characters that played on that would have been of someone like Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos, and I got a little cheat sheet here. If I pronounce this right, Peter Thiel? Are you familiar with that name? You don't know that? No. In short, here's when I say secret society, when I watch the movie, you got these 4 powerhouses. Matter of fact, when I say 4 powerhouses, the guy and the character that was playing Jeff Bezos, that Amazon, right?
Yeah.
He was the bottom of the totem pole. This whole time, like he was, it was his place. It was doing hospitality that these 3 powerful guys were coming in, and he had this uncomfortable conscience about, would you invest in me? And in short, what am I trying to get at? Look at who he is today. Yeah. But this role, he was bottom of the totem pole. And the Peter, I had some cheat sheets, folks. Okay, PayPal. So he's back from the PayPal. He's the older of the 4. He said that, hey, I've got cancer, but he's surrounded by these 3 other guys. Like, guys, we own the world. We can figure this out. I mean, you're head of, you could take people to SpaceX. You could do, Facebook. So you have all these 4 powerful giants. In short, what am I trying to get at? Is that a secret society? It was intended to be these 4 people to meet under one roof, one weekend of just having a power trip on how do we get to the next level. That's what I understand of a secret society.
Well, I mean, when you were talking like that, I was thinking about Bohemian Grove.
Yeah, I've heard a little bit of that also.
And I remember when I first got into it, I thought maybe it was evil and all these things and hedonistic homosexuality going on and no women allowed and that sort of thing. But I couldn't really find anything there.
Well, I've read a little bit about it. It seemed like it was
it's
a week.
Secretive.
Yeah, it's a getaway.
Yeah.
People would talk
leaders
about.
do business there.
You would wine and dine, but people only could talk about what they seen in public. There's, again, secret.
I mean, Nixon was there, Reagan was there, George Herbert Walker Bush was there. Didn't see a lot of Democrats, which kind of disturbed me because I'm a conservative guy. So for these guys to go be Bohemian Grove, I thought, but they were there, and I think only recently that they allow some women to be in there. But it was world leaders, they would get in and do business. It's no different than when the Fed got together and made the United States, something else other than what we think it is. I mean, they just so people get together. What was that? My son was telling me about. He does this German voice really well, and I can't think of it. But not the Bilderbergs. But anyway, maybe these the clubs you're talking about?
Well, again, I'm talking for our viewers where I struggle with the term secret societies because, again, the word is secret. So how do we know what's readily available? It's not like we walk out of this building and we look at this building and like, man, there's a bunch of people gathered in there and they're brainstorming. Yeah. Because the only thing that I read up upon about secret societies, which is weird because you brought it up on JFK last week, money. Mm-hmm. So secret societies, based on everything that I've researched, money is definitely involved. So you have a collaboration of powerful people, and if it wasn't money, it was land. A lot had to do, land is power.
Sure.
And then they were talking about names that I've actually heard of, like J.P. Morgan. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, J.P. Morgan is a current name for me today, but as far as I can go back and research, we're just talking about banking. We were even I was reading upon something like if you, this is the kind of control and power they have. If you deposit $100 into the bank, really 10 of it's yours, and they can give out 90.
Oh yeah.
And then they just had the power of how you loan money and stuff. But
sure.
But I guess when I think of secret societies, this is kind of what I'm thinking of. Let's take go back to Yale. Are we hand-picking people that we know that have this academic, this vast of knowledge, but a family surrounded by money, and you're tapping these people to join the society. You might be collaborating at that point, but you're plotting and planning for where we're at today. Yeah. That's what I take of a secret society. Now, going back to the modern version, y'all, if you haven't seen it, Mountainhead. Matter of fact, it's got Steve Carell in it. Oh, so it's almost, I want to say it's almost comedy, okay? When the one guy wasn't on board, like they were, for an example, and if I butcher this, I apologize, so you watch it yourself, but they would be talking about Zuckerberg, like, man, you got this whole information highway out there, and it's so readily available for everybody, but you're not protecting us. And then the other character, I think, was Google. And so, they're mad at him because he's all about being conservative and protecting people's identities, just protecting their privacy. So you got these two big, powerful guys, headbutting, but along the way, one of them doesn't agree with the other three. And this is terrible, but they plotted to kill the guy. But where I was saying it's comedy-wise, they did a really bad job. And then it was crazy towards the end of the movie when the weekend's over, they're hugging it out like, my bad. I know I just tried to kill you, but my bad. We don't have that luxury in some of the stuff that we hear today about how far secret societies are, because that's what I take of secret societies.
Well, my take is a little different.
Okay,
now I think that is a good example of secret societies. Okay, because I guess you could say like my college fraternity was maybe a secret society. I mean, there was secrets, there was handshakes, there was ways of knowing if a guy was a fraternity member. But
what's the initiation? Is that the word? So when you said fraternities, isn't there like initiations?
You go through a pledge,
Right, because the secret societies that you're about to speak of, that I know of, I've heard some pretty crazy things of how to get initiated.
Well, there's a lot of hazing that goes on.
Okay.
I mean, fortunately, my fraternity didn't partake in too much of that. I at one point I actually got blackballed because I wasn't going to put up with it, but I eventually got in. But my take on the secret societies, okay, because I have this fascination with good and evil, and it seems like evil is always parading around like, oh, there's nothing to see here, but this is good, So I want to go back to after the flood, if I can. Okay. First of all, let me ask you something.
You can.
Do you remember Pulp Fiction?
John Travolta.
Okay. What was a Royale with cheese?
Oh, I don't. I can't remember.
You don't remember that?
I don't.
Well, I don't
All
remember.
I remember is a terrible scene, and it was.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
But it was a quarter pounder, right? But it's, I guess some other country or whatever. It's Royale with cheese. Okay. And I'll tie it in if I can remember later where this is going. But it's a cheeseburger, or it's a quarter pounder. Okay.
Food,
or it's Royale with cheese.
You got
right?
my attention. It's food. Go
okay.
ahead.
But it is three names for the same thing. Okay. A lot of these things, these secret societies, they came from. A lot of people think this is an amalgam of different people, but this person, after the flood, built the Tower of Babel. Okay, he was the king of Babylon. His name was Nimrod. He had a cohort. He had a wife actually named Semiramis. Now, I know a lot of people don't know what I'm talking about here, and how it ties into secret societies. But a lot went on there. He was the first one to make paganry normal. Okay, I mean, I know I studied a little bit about Egyptian, and they seem to evolve organically on their own. Okay, but the Babylon form of paganry, I think, is one reason we have these secret societies. Nimrod was, like I said, big into this paganry, and he, how does that go? His wife, Semiramis, I guess, had gotten pregnant. It was not his child, so she decided that she had to get rid of him. So they cut him up. They cut him up, and they sent the body parts to different places. Like, you cannot worship this guy because this is what's going to happen to you, right? But people secretly did. Okay, there was a lot of secrets going on back then. I mean, I remember when reading about who was it? Moses. He lived with his father-in-law for 40 years. And he practiced monotheism. Now, this was at a time in Egypt where it was a pantheon of gods, right? And so it was very secretive and daring, actually, to be in the idea of this one God, okay? I forget his name in the Bible, but his other name was Ruel, which I often wonder if that's where the word ruler comes from. But anyway, all these secret things would go on because they would maybe face danger, like with Nimrod, that sort of thing. And so I think that's where a lot of these came from, worshiping. And he was evil. I mean, this guy was really evil. He was against God. The Tower of Babel was designed to withstand if God decided to put another flood on the earth, that it would stand. And he was defiant of God. And I mean, so the worship of him obviously was something that you would do in private. Okay, but there's also this thing about membership dues. Okay, it seems like every club or anything has membership dues.
You're talking about modern day world today.
Yeah, you pay your dues, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. These people, these esoteric, occult societies, they have to pay their dues too, paying their dues to the devil. Yeah, that's, I believe. And so, so getting back to Crowley for a minute.
Okay.
This guy, he was a twisted guy, very, very intellectual, but very twisted. And one of the things that L. Ron Hubbard, I don't know if you know that name.
I know.
He was
I know
Scientology,
Debbie,
Dianetics. He was a big fan of Crowley.
Okay.
He had a lot of fans, but this guy was a big fan of his, and he went off and started his own thing, which was Scientology, I believe. But what happens with these guys is they get thinking so highly of themselves. Now, L. Ron Hubbard, I think it's Dianetics. You've heard of Dianetics? No?
I apologize, I don't.
Okay.
This is where I struggle trying to...
Well, one of the ritual things to get into these societies that Crowley started was Thelema, and he said he had written this book of the law and do as thou wilt, which sounds very demonic to me, because it's like you're not encumbered with any right, really just do whatever you want.
Yeah, do what you want.
One of the things to get in was to basically have sexual relations with, well, I'm not going to say it, but but this was the thing you had to do.
Almost sounds like incest. Saying for a friend, I don't know.
Yeah,
okay.
I would just say that was a fair a thing to say. So, to get into these things, we're just had to basically disavow everything you've learned or thought was good or bad, and just do this thing, and it's a brainwash. Now, everyone talks about the Masons. All right, now, I'm going to tell you right now, I don't believe they worship the devil. Okay. But I do believe that this idea of Lucifer versus Satan, one is not the same as the other. Albert Pike, who was a Mason, he wrote Morals and Dogma. I think I've got a copy of it at home. He said that these Masons could have the seething power of Lucifer at their fingertips. Now, I don't think Masons ever thought the internet was going to come out. A lot of people don't think ever thought the internet was going to come out with all this information people have. But so they dodge it, say, well, I was taking eye contacts, blah, blah, blah. But I'm just going to leave that there, okay? Because there were so many that brought from the Masons, and it's just like Crowley. Crowley didn't like the fact that he couldn't get in at the Masonic temple or wherever he was at. So now I'll tell you another deal. Joseph Smith, who was he was the founder of the Mormons, right? He shot up the levels of because they have these initiation rites and these levels. And they thought that he was going to make a religion out of this. They killed him right there in front of the Masonic Lodge.
So right there, when you brought that up, that's kind of what I want to talk to our listeners, people who are listening, who are watching. What is the purpose of a secret society? In other words, how are there people out there currently today forming secret societies? Because I can't tell you who they are because they're secret. I don't know. But when you start talking about some of these people going back to history, it's almost making it sound like, because you've said it a couple times, that he couldn't get into this, right, club or this organization.
Right.
So I would tell you, in today's world, if I can't get in this one, I'll tell you what, I'll just create my own.
Right.
But when you create these societies...
Which is what Adam Eisenhower did with the Bavarian Illuminati.
Okay, and that's kind of what I'm trying to get at. So if it's a secret society, one, I kind of want to know, well, what's the purpose? What's the agenda?
Enlightenment.
As everyday people, should we be in fear of these secret societies? Other than kind of what I think, other than the controlling the wealth of the financials out there, land control. I think that the everyday person who just goes to work and gets a 2-week paycheck, that we talked about, we don't really meditate. We don't really take time to think about. We're living in the moment. Mm-hmm. Okay, but these are other people in these societies who are plotting and planning for the future, if not for them in their current position, but the legacy to come. That's what I think of a secret society.
A lot of these societies don't bear the fruit they pretend that they can give. Okay, now I want to tell you something interesting. I think it's interesting. Was the script for Eyes Wide Shut apparently.
Was that Tom Cruise?
No, that was, it was.
Okay,
and Nicole Kidman.
Masquerade, right? I remember my movies, I have popcorn.
Supposedly Kubrick had that script since the 60s, all right? But other projects and this and that, and I think he was in the Guinness Book of World Records for the most retakes of scenes, okay? I know that they did The Shining. And who was the guy that wrote Christine? It said he would never work with Kubrick again because he had to be perfect. But Eyes Wide Shut, he took his time on that movie. And anyone that's never seen that, I would suggest watching it because I'm spellbound every time I watch it.
You see something new every time you watch it?
Well, yeah,
like
I mean,
like
the Star of Rim fan. I don't have time to get into that. That's clearly there. That the guy that comes onto his wife is the devil. This Orthodox Romanian backwards chanting that they play in this one scene is just scary as hell. But here's the thing: the reason I bring it up is because it wasn't even in the movie theaters. Someone took out Stanley Kubrick. He was dead. Because I think they think that he exposed too much of what these people were doing.
So now we're kind of getting on track. This is the stuff that I find intriguing and curious. Well, I'm going to say it again. Ready? Whistleblower. I want to change the topic, but I want to stay on topic. So, folks, let me humiliate myself when I say this. Does anybody, and I'm going to kind of go towards a kid's theme on this. Does anybody know what today is?
Thursday.
Okay, well, it's Walt Disney's birthday. This is when Disney World opened up to the day 54 years ago. You want to know how I know that?
Because you remember the 33rd Club?
No, because it's my birthday. And my birthday is on the day of... Okay, but anyways, why am I going with this? So, not necessarily secret societies. But
he may have made a deal with the devil, too. But
okay, but here's one of the cool things about Disney World. So, I don't know, do you classify this as secret societies? Because people who are really interested in Disney World, did you know that there's secret clubs?
Yeah, the 33rd Club, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or like one of the things that I always love when I train new employees, I kind of use the Disney theme, that a lot of people don't realize that there's a whole underground pathway for the characters and the employees to get to different locations.
I didn't know that.
Okay, well,
that sounds like the Denver airport.
Well, here's the reality of it. And I believe it's all designed by Walt Disney. Is like, first of all, they try to frown on dating employees, right? Mm-hmm. But if you had drama or beef with an employee or a significant other, that was all done downstairs. But when you came upstairs, it was Disney World time. It was smiles and it was everything. But then it got further for me because I started hearing about these things about, hey, do you know this particular building? We see it as a backdrop per se. But no, at a certain time, with a certain invite, here's this club that's going on that people thought the park was closed. Yeah. Did you guys know that out there? Because I know I'm not making this up.
You talking about the 33rd Club?
Well, I don't even know what's. I'm just talking about. So I just think of Disney World as just this family-oriented.
Right? I used to love watching Disney.
So when we talk about secret societies, I'm not trying to put them like on a plateau of. The scary and some of this crazy stuff you talk about, but I almost call it secret society. I don't even know what percentage of people just think of Disney World as the family fun theme park, opposed to these hidden things.
You
think I'm crazy, don't you?
You can join the Illuminati online. Do you know that?
No.
Yeah.
No, we're not.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. I thought, well, this has got to be a joke, right? But there is a notion out there that if you want to move up in life, right, you can choose the left-hand path, which is you're going to get a little help, but it's not godly. All right, you're going to have to pay your dues, and it may take your soul, but you're going to enjoy this life while you're here.
Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if I want to sell my soul for any of that, but I'll tell you what, I'm like so giddied up on this Disney World thing. We're going to talk about it. We got to go to a commercial. We'll be right back.
I set the thermostat so my house would be warm when I got home from work, but the kitchen is still cool.
At Barrett Heating and Cooling, we stand behind every Linux system we sell.
My dealer said he'd take care of everything.
At Barrett Heating and Cooling, we understand everyone wants prompt, professional service.
Turns out it wasn't my furnace after all, just a little something blocking the vent.
Pretty smart dog if you ask me. For service you can count on, call Barrett Heating and Cooling.
Lennox. Innovation never felt so good.
At Landmark Realty, we're proud to serve the Riverbend area with offices in Godfrey and Jerseyville. Whether you're buying your first home or your forever home, our team is here to guide you every step of the way. And if you're ready to start your dream business, we can help you find the perfect commercial property. Visit us today at godfreylandmark.com. Landmark Realty, serving the Riverbend and serving you.
Macias Insurance Agency, providing quality products with extremely competitive prices. As an independent provider, we source multiple companies to offer the best rates possible, covering auto, home, business, and life insurance. Our goal is to provide quality service that meets and exceeds customer expectations. You can rest easy knowing the Macias team is working round the clock to ensure that both you and the most important parts of your life are covered. Our qualified professionals make the insurance process easy so you can live carefree and focus on what matters most. Visit MaciasInsuranceAgency.com today to find out what our team can do for you.
And we're back, just like that. Listen, if you see this crazy glow on me, I think I got Troy mesmerized over here. And that's kind of what I'm talking about as I talk with you guys. So I just brought up Disney World, and it was just an eye-opener that you might have heard of the club, but you didn't know about all these different things of. So again, I'm not saying it's necessarily a secret society, but there's definitely a secret because, matter of fact, I should have went to Google and seen if I could have read up on anything. If there's, is there just available information on the internet, or is this for the privileged?
The 33 Club.
To know.
I don't know if you'd ever find anything, and if you did, it wouldn't be anything that would indicate that it was malicious or evil, So.
I'm looking it up while you chit-chat for just a second because now I'm curious. Hey, and folks, speaking of curious real fast, this particular topic, we want you to know, and we're going to keep saying it and saying it, we would love to hear from you. What topic or topics would you like to discuss? And if you don't want to discuss, I'm asking you to reach out and say, hey, I want to know more about this. You send it to Troy and I, and we'd love to have a forum, a discussion with you. So very inviting. Again, that's trustonriverbender@gmail.com. And I'm really going to go off topic when I say this, okay? I want to talk about advertising for a quick second. So, listen, I wouldn't be where I'm at today without advertisements. But Barry, I'm calling you out. While we were on a commercial break, Barry Macias Insurance, Troy goes, I know that guy. Yep. And Barry, what's cool is I know you and I talk about Andre and the Jets organization. So I know that you're affiliated with basketball. But my boy Troy over here is telling me he'll never forget seeing you sink like 10 buckets in a row. And Duncan.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it.
And Duncan.
Yeah, back in '79, I think it was at North Junior. And after lunch, they sit you out there, and so there's nothing to do. And I think he picked up a basketball with some other guys. And I watched this guy. Now, Barry was kind of a cool dude back then. He had more hair than he's got now, I think, But he shot these, I'm what they call it.
I'm Dave This is Lebo Emo from Liberty Mutual.
Like 10 or 12 shots. And I can't believe I'm watching this.
Disney World's got some major secrets.
My bad, y'all. I can't get over this. I was pulling up it says right here, Disney World secrets they don't want you to know. But we'll save that for another thing. But obviously, it's on the internet.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, I think people make Faustian deals with the devil, is what I think. I think they think, well, hard work's too hard. I want some help. And they get into either a pact with the devil or they join an organization that they believe is going to help them out. But, and it's called the left-hand path. And, it may work for some people, but I think that, you get into a situation like that, you're going to get older, man. And that sort of thing can catch up with you. So, I wanted to talk about what I wanted to, something else.
Go ahead, because I was reason I'm fascinated, folks. That's why I talk about this podcast. The curiosity. What do you want to talk about? So during this live podcast, I apologize to you, but I'm mesmerized.
Oh, I know what I was going to tell. Read up on it.
Yeah, I was just reading about some more things. So go ahead.
Well, I'm telling you, and this could be another show. Everyone's got a take on 9/11. Do I think it was an inside job? I'm leaning towards yes. Okay. But going back to Nimrod, okay, I think he is the Antichrist that's going to return. Okay, I think...
It's a pretty powerful statement.
Yeah, I think the IXXI means, out with the old order, in with the new. And what's interesting about the new Twin Towers is it's not two towers now. It's one perfectly sitting, the two become one. And I think that was I was watching the Super Bowl years ago, and Madonna comes out in these Egyptian, I don't know, horns or whatever. And by the way, I think Nimrod was the first one to wear horns. Nimrod, after the flood, people started to line up along and, listen to him, because you got to think about it. After the flood, animals propagated quickly. Okay. And people were actually getting hunted. Okay. This guy was called a mighty hunter before the Lord in the Bible. I would say that he was against the Lord. Okay. But I think he was the first one that wore horns. I can't prove it, but I think that he would put on the horns and go out and could hunt these animals without fear because they thought he was an animal, So he was, and then there's other people that say that he had obtained the loincloths of Adam, which had powers or whatever, but he brought out the paganry. And
so I'm just bouncing here. As we're talking about secret societies and some of these things, no. But what I'm saying, as we're talking about that, it almost has me leaning towards cults. So maybe
I'm saying it wrong. Cult is that's so a
secret society is a form of a cult.
Because
that's what it sounds like.
Listen, anytime it takes several steps to something. It can maybe, I'm going to say brainwash, but it's a long, how long did it take for your wife to say that she'd marry you?
Well, come on, Troy, when you see this, bro, it shouldn't take.
That's why I'm asking, okay? No, I'm just saying. No, usually it takes a guy a long time because he's got a long sales pitch.
Communication.
Right? Finally, they submit and they say, oh, right, whatever. And then you got to prove that you're a decent guy. But what I'm saying is, anytime there's this long sales pitch, we sold cars.
Right.
Remember
the Frosty story.
Yeah, you want me to share the Frosty story?
Well, if you want to.
No, I'll share the. Huh?
Okay, sure.
Yeah, okay. All right. I met Brian in 96, okay? And he was like the, top dog up at Roberts, although I did beat you 1 month. Yeah. So anyway, it's cold out, and let me tell you something. When you're selling cars at 9 o'clock in the morning, you're dressed up like you're going to go to church. You think you're important. You're filing out these go reports. Remember those things?
I remember Mike Collins.
Go
sheets. Yeah, get organized today.
You're dressed up, but you're not making any money. And so someone says there's a phone up, right? And yeah, so everyone
still got it, dude.
Yeah,
I still got it.
So he picks up the phone. Again, there's no one selling any cars. There's no one on the lot. It's cold. We're all sitting around in church clothes, and Brian starts talking to this guy. And where was he? Somewhere way down in Missouri somewhere. Yeah. And I couldn't believe he keeps talking to this guy and talking. I couldn't believe it, and never really card him down, I guess. Did you? You didn't
what I'm trying to tell you is I was building a relationship. So for all you salespeople out there today, is build the relationship first. But go ahead.
Well, but at this point now, you've got the salesman kind of listening because they can't, like me, I can't get over this guy is talking to this person who's never met for this length of time. So he says, "So you coming up today?" "Yeah, I'm coming today." He said, "Oh, by the way, on your way up today, buy me a Frosty." I thought, this guy has got a set, man. This guy's got a set, right? The guy shows up a couple hours later with a Frosty in his hand. I couldn't believe it.
So going back to the Roberts days, those were the early 90s, mid-90s.
And mid-90s.
So any salespeople, I know there's some secret societies, how the heck they talking about the car business, but briefly I remember what Troy was saying. when you got 19 salespeople, you got to stand out. You got to make people to remember you. So back in the day, I always wore like Looney Tune ties, but Frosties. So that's an unpaid commercial. Because here's the deal. If somebody walked in on the showroom floor with a Wendy's Frosty, there was no denying that they weren't asking for Brian Trust. That was just a salesman. So anyway, when Troy's using that analogy as a salesman, you're saying that to get into
I'm just saying it's a long,
it's
a long sell, right? And there can be some, I think, I'm going to say brainwash, but there could be some things that go on that preps you for the next stage. And by the time you get all the way up the chain, the revelation that they give you, you seem to accept. And you wouldn't accept it as easily if you had just walked in.
Well, that's what I want to get. So as we're kind of nearing to the end of the episode, which is crazy to believe time goes by that fast, here's what I want to talk about to today's current situation. I talked about it on JFK. I've talked about it on a lot of things. You said it clearly, that when you join these organizations, cults, secret societies, or whatever you want to say, you said you're selling your soul. And here's what I'd like to believe when you say that. So if you're truly creating these cults or societies for today's agendas, right, and you move up the ladder to get where you're at, okay, so whatever title you may be, a mayor, a state representative, or what have you, what deals did you make to become in that position of power, right? Yeah. So now that you got it, right, this front fascia, you're a good person, this is what the people see. But to go back to the secret societies, what was that foundation behind you that got you to who you are today? And now that you are there today,
you've got dues to pay.
You got dues to pay.
Yeah. You're going to have to pay dues.
It might have took an hour to get to the purpose of these secret societies, but you got to believe this today. And I want to just throw back JFK back in that again. These are hidden agendas. No doubt in my mind, no doubt in your mind, I want to know that things just don't happen. There's a purpose behind. Otherwise, we wouldn't have a conspiracy and mystery show to talk about.
Right. And by the way, I was going to tell you, Kennedy, we talk about the 33s, right? The 33 Club or whatever. He was assassinated 11/22, which is 33.
33.
So there you go. Coincidence or what?
Well, I don't want to say coincidence.
No, let me tell you something about what these people do. But I want to tell you what these people do. I want to go back to Madonna, okay?
Bring up Madonna.
When I saw that Super Bowl halftime show, I thought, there's something going on here. This is more than entertainment. There's something going on here. It was a chant. It was a rise up chant because these pagans believe that if they do everything just right with the numerology and enough people and chanting the same things, that increases the chances of what they want to happen.
So let me ask you this. Based on that Super Bowl, right? I would like, when I keep saying dumb it down, folks, I'm talking about me, okay? I just see entertainment. I don't see the hidden message, right? So what came out of the Madonna, I don't know. But I want to bring this up real fast because this is very current and very fresh. The most recent Super Bowl had Kendrick Lamar. And when I watched that Super Bowl show, I was kind of watching this generation gap, okay? The Super Bowl party that I was at, let's just say 45, 50 and plus, like, what the heck is this? What is this? But people who were current and hip, you got the message. It was a Drake diss. You know, so there's...
You said hip.
Is that okay?
Well, I mean, it's not, that proves how old you are because people don't say hip anymore.
All right, my bad. So whatever current terminology today is, I understood the message of the Kendrick Lamar. So when you bring up the Madonna, there's a lot of us who I like to believe when I say dumb it down, we're just watching entertainment. Yeah. We're watching commercials, but secret society-wise, you're saying that there's an underlying message.
One hand doesn't see what the other hand's doing.
What do you think about that, ladies and gentlemen? Matter of fact, again, Trust on RiverBender at gmail.com, whether it be JFK, our first episode, or today on secret societies. I'm just going to throw out a few questions out there. So if you decide to send me an email, did you know about Disney World and the secret, I don't know if I want to say taboos, I don't want to say secret society, but there's more to just that theme park than you know. Because what'd you say, the one hand or what have you?
Yeah.
Or like Troy said, You're watching a Super Bowl with Madonna. I'm looking at entertainment, man. I'm singing because that's that's my genre type. But do you believe that there's a hidden agenda behind that performance, or was it just a performance?
No, I would say, listen, Madonna's into this stuff big time, especially now when she's, old.
Well, briefly touch on this real fast.
But she was paying her dues.
So when you talk about genres, then I think of Marilyn Monroe, right? Madonna was the current Marilyn Monroe, and you were sharing something with me because now we're going back to JFK.
Oh yeah. When they.
I mean, here you got 5 minutes. You want to spill real fast on?
Well, I'm just saying
Monroe?
when they found her, she had undigested sleeping pills in her stomach, and there was evidence that she had received something in the rear, that maybe aided her death. Enema, some kind of a drug enema. So, because she thought she was going to be the next, first lady.
Again, Marilyn Monroe, we could have a whole nother episode.
Yeah.
On that. I get that. But ladies and gentlemen, so this is the second episode that you've seen. You see, we try to stay focused on the topic of hand, but we're all over the place. We're just a couple guys in a studio coming out to you in an entertainment standpoint. We have opinions, we have views, but guess what? We want to hear from you.
Yeah, I'd like to get someone in here. And first of all, let me tell you something. I don't know if people know who Diogenes was. Diogenes was a man who ate with dogs. He lived in a jar. He urinated in public. He didn't care. Okay, came from a family of means. If it was Plato or Socrates, I think Plato gave Socrates the definition of a man. And he said the definition of a man was a featherless biped, okay? Basically no feathers and walked on two legs. Diogenes walked in with a plucked chicken and said, "This is your definition of a man," okay? And so they had to change their definition of a man to a featherless biped with large, broad nails. So I'm just saying, don't come in here like you're an expert, because you're going to get knocked on your keister. Someone's going to do it for you intellectually, okay? I mean, we're not experts.
I'm expecting some of them emails
listen, we're human beings. We hear big noises. We run into caves. We're scared. We're just trying to figure out our lives. So
and the reality is this: we're curious.
Yes.
That's why we're out here. That's why we're in the studio while y'all are chilling on the sofa, hopefully watching and listening. What are you curious about? Matter of fact, what do you know? Whistleblower, we want to hear from you. Okay, matter of fact, it's not till Thursday, the next episode. I want to hear, what topic would you like to join us with? And if you don't want to join us, I need to hear from you, and I want to show you that I'm listening if and only if you reach out to Trust on RiverBender at gmail.com. Troy, we only got a couple of minutes. Is there anything that you want to share on this conclusion?
Well, let's see. I talked about Diogenes. I tell you what I'd like to talk about at some point is foreknowledge.
What?
Foreknowledge. Okay. This deal with Charlie Kirk continues to evolve, and almost like there was foreknowledge of it. I mean, I'll give you a little teaser. His wife was in a video years ago, a country music video, and if she's doing whatever she's doing, the date that he got killed goes right by her. And then she even says something to the effect of thanks for the video, but she mentions, "Thanks, Tyler. It was fun shooting this video." It was years ago. So I'm just saying, foreknowledge, right, of events, I mean, is Hollywood looking at Snake Eyes with Nick Cage is another one that my son brought up. I guess it's similar to the Charlie Kirk. So this idea of foreknowledge, I mean, is Hollywood coming up with these movies because they're having seances with demons? I mean, it sounds crazy, but
I know we're out of time, but I think you're onto something when you start talking about Hollywood and some of these films that are previous, current, and I think you're onto something.
Well, I'd like to pursue it at some point. Same
thing. Would you like us to pursue it? Anyways, folks, one last time, I want to tell you thank you so much for